Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Dan.
This
Stone.
is Dexter from The Offspring.
Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is David Labb.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick
I'm
Gillette.
Christopher
This is
Knopf.
Dr. Bob Greenberg.
I'm Laird Hamilton.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hi, this is Adam Korenman, author of When the Stars Fade and When the Skies Fall from California Cold Blood Books, and you are listening to Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
Not only are you listening to the Break It Down Show, but Adam Korenman and I are walking down the Santa Monica Pier. So we got the beach off our right shoulder. We're backpacked up, just like two Army guys would do. We're on patrol, so I may be like every now and then. Just know that we're out here looking at the beach. It's beautiful. The weather is great. And while a lot of you folks are socked in by a polar bomb or some kind of winter cyclone, we're shorts and t-shirts and having a good time.
Yeah, there is something to be said about living on the West Coast. We just kind of skip the bad seasons.
Yeah, we really didn't have winter this year. I mean, it's really a gorgeous day today, and it's February. So
it's fantastic, not a cloud in the sky. I mean, now we're doing the weather report, but it's a good day for a ruck march.
Yeah. You forgot your rucksack, though.
That's my favorite kind of ruck march, the one where I don't have my ruck.
Typical officer. So I want to ask you about this. This is topical. Donald Trump, the president of our great nation, wants to have a military parade. And we're not trying to get controversial, but you definitely express your feelings. I'll start with mine so you kind of get a gauge. As a guy that was in the parades a lot, it sucks. Like, I don't want to be there. And it's hours and hours and hours of waiting, and you got to take your turn to practice, and you're practicing stuff that you always practice, so you're more ready than anybody else. And it's like, who are we doing this for? Because if you're doing this to honor me, we did a change of command. You know, it's a standard thing where, like, the outgoing officer's like, blather, 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 and I, and blather, and thank you, and blather, you know, super long time. But he starts the whole thing by saying, this is a great day for a parade, and it was raining and miserable cold in Germany. It's horrible. You know, and I guess a lot of folks don't know this, but change of command, the new guy coming in, basically his speech is this: thank you to you who came, you who came, you who came, you who came. Thanks everybody he says thank. And then he says, all orders stand. And then he's done.
See, that's the perfect speech right there.
Right. Uh-oh.
Sorry. A little busy here on the prom.
A little busy on the promenade here. Yeah, so that's the best speech. All orders stand. Like, ooh, that's short, but the guy outgoing gets to talk a lot. So what do you think about that whole parade thing?
I mean, my whole take on it is pretty much the same. When I was enlisted, I freaking hated work parties and PIR, pass and review for Yod Fall. And basically, anytime we had to do DNC for more than 5 minutes, it's not something I want to be doing with my time.
Yeah.
As an officer, coming out of that life, I tried to make my soldiers never stand around doing something stupid. So I get that we want to celebrate the military, and I appreciate that this country is trying to, kind of raise its patriotism and raise its respect to soldiers. But I think they could take that money, put it into, the VA, put it into shelters for homeless veterans, better health care for our guys coming back from deployment, and that would be a way better way of showing respect to the soldiers. I think, we've got Secretary Mattis, I think, is a great advocate for soldier welfare. And I assume that any input he's putting in is going to be for the benefit of soldiers. I think there's right now too much pageantry that's going on around patriotism. And I'd like to see more action rather than just showmanship.
Folks that don't think Donald Trump has done anything right can look squarely at the Mattis decision and know that that's a good one. And he's earned the benefit of the doubt. I'm positive you're right. He's taking and making the best of the situation that is ahead of him.
Well, Secretary Mattis, I mean, I come from the Army side, not the Marine side, but even coming from the Army side, everybody respects him. He's got such a great reputation as an officer who's in the middle of everything, who's in the dirt with his soldiers. And now that he's Secretary of Defense, he's still carrying forward that same kind of mindset. Yeah. And I appreciate that. I think regardless of anything else that comes out of this administration, at least we've got a very smart and well-regarded person leading the troops.
Yeah, for sure. And it shows in our approach maybe not the president's approach with tweeting and whatnot, but where we're at with North Korea and everything else is due in large part to his ability to handle multinational situations.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Absolutely.
we may not like the boss, but you have to respect what General Mattis, Secretary Mattis has done, because he's really, you could not pick a better guy for that job. You really could.
Absolutely. I think he's one of the, probably going to go down in history as one of the finest generals we've had across every branch.
Yeah, and why not have that guy run the military? You know?
Yeah. Put a little chaos in it.
Yeah, the whole parade thing, do totalitarian leaders do that? Sure. But look.
Well, I've participated in parades for like Memorial Day parades,
right.
Veterans Day parades, and usually it's you go to when I was in the Guard, we would do a parade in Palmdale, California.
Yeah.
And the city council would put this on. We would send a platoon, and they would march, and it would show off how terrible our DNC was. And then it usually lasted 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then it's over, and then they would give our guys free drinks.
Yeah.
And that was really the best part of it for the soldiers is, hey, free booze.
Free booze.
So I think that something of this scale, it's too showy, and it's not enough really getting down to what we're trying to show off. Also, I can't remember who said, I think it was, is it Representative Kennedy or Senator Kennedy?
I think he's a representative.
Mr. Kennedy said that confidence is quiet. And I think that that's something that America's never really had to project strength, or at least not in the last 100 years, because everybody knows it. Everyone knows we've got the best military, we've got the strongest Air Force, we've got the best Navy. There's no real need to show it off. I think we can honor our soldiers and our veterans in a better way.
Yeah, I would guess that if you were to poll all of us veterans and said, how do you honor, as a parade, what you want, a national parade? No. The other thing that people don't realize, you and I will know, is you put anything larger than a battalion out there to march, and you're going to have a problem. People are going to be literally sprinting at some point to keep up, because, the formation just moves, and it's got to, just like traffic where it's got an ebb and flow, all formations do this too. So if you put 10,000 people out there, however many soldiers or service members will be marching, it's going to be a shit show.
Well, that's one thing about third world countries and dictatorships is they don't give those guys free time or lives. It's only train, drill, drill, drill. And the fear of failure in front of the dear leader is what keeps them so, lockstep in line.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, we don't have that for the better of our country. So, yeah, our drill and ceremony is not as sharp, but we'll still get shit done.
Yeah. Well, even still, if you put 20,000 people out on a parade field, no matter how good your drill and ceremony is,
it turns to soup pretty quick.
Yeah, it's a hilarious thing. The whole parade thing is a bit of a situation. And then I wanted to accentuate one of the points you talked about. We do sort of an international, global level parade. We do project force, and what we do is when North Korea gets dodgy, you send a carrier group over, put 2 carrier groups on Warno, which is a warning order audience. That carrier group shows up, and you've got the attention of the United States military, which is not something that a free nation will enjoy very much, but there's not a fucking thing anybody can do about it.
No, there's few things that express the might of a nation quite as much as an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And, a Nimitz across the bay from you is pretty much the scariest thing you can imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're a friendly nation, that's your guardian angel right there. At a moment's notice, you have an Air Force, you have a Marine Corps, you've got every agency that we have available is minutes away from you. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that we've developed in the last century.
Yeah, that ability to push power like that is incredible. It also means that there's very scary men that have very long beards and big sacks of money working to undermine your enemy. Or if you are the enemy, you're being undermined by these people that spend their lives doing exceptionally hard things. Mm-hmm. Overthrowing governments is one of them. So,
yep. We've gotten pretty good at it. Yeah. Well, there's always going to be the flip up here and now, but
yeah,
I put our special forces up against anyone else.
For sure. But this show isn't necessarily just a military show. You, despite being a military person, an enlisted guy, an officer, you've also become a screenwriter, and you're here in the Southern California area living that life. So talk to me a little bit about what you're doing, and then we'll probably get into the transition between the two.
Well, since I moved out to Los Angeles, I have been focusing on screenwriting and novel writing. I've got 2 books that have been published. Second book just published last month. When the Skies Fall, it's the second book in the Grey Wars saga. It's military sci-fi in the vein of Orson Scott Card or Highland, your Starship Troopers kind of thing. A lot of aliens, a lot of explosions. It's pretty fun. And I worked on that when I got out here. I joined a production company called Go Go Guppies and have written 5 short films, produced 5 short films. And now my writing partner and I are working on a couple shows that we're pitching around to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, going to the streaming services because that seems to be where it's at.
People talk about pitching shows and pitch season, all that stuff. And one of the things we don't hear a lot of is, what the hell does that even mean? Like, what? You're just going to show up at Hulu with the DVD and be like, you got to watch my show. Like, no shit. How do you do this? How do you get to the point where they'll listen to you for 5 minutes?
Well, what I found is that nobody's story is going to be the same. You ask one person, hey, how'd you get your show in front of these people? And they're going to say, oh, well, I knew this guy, and he took my demo, and then it went with it. You ask this person, it's, oh, I sent in 1 million mailers, and somebody wrote me back. With us, we have a friend who has a friend who has a friend who has a friend who works at some of these agencies, and at some gathering, some networking event, they were just like, hey, yeah, we're working on these projects, and our friend mentioned in passing, oh, well, I've got 2 screenwriter buddies who are working on this show or that show or this idea. And so the network executive really enjoyed the idea of it. I mean, it was just an elevator pitch that our friend had given. And so they contacted us and said, hey, can you put together a one-sheet? One-sheet is basically, what's the log line? What's your general idea of the show? Like, what's your audience makeup going to be? And give us a synopsis. What is this freaking show? That's a question you'll hear a lot in the industry is, what is the show?
Right.
And basically, it's if you had to sum up in 30 seconds or 2-3 sentences, describe this television show. What's it like week to week? What am I going to be watching? What am I tuning in for? It's very hard to do, but you get better at it. And we pitched to Netflix a couple shows. They passed on a few, and then they said, hey, this one's not bad. Why don't you keep running with it?
So you go to Netflix, you have a whole conversation with a number of shows, like we have this idea, and then they kind of shop and say, oh yeah, let's put some development into that. Is that how that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and again, every time it happens, it'll happen a little bit differently. When we were pitching to, we got to pitch to Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, nice.
Not to him directly,
but
through assistants, through his people. And basically, it came down to, hey, throw ideas at us, and we'll let you know if he's interested. And so we just sent over idea after idea. He would say, man, not this one. Ooh, that one's good. Develop that one a little bit more. And you keep trying. The best thing you can do in this industry, and really any industry, is keep trying. Don't stop because you got a little bit too much pushback on this, or don't stop because you're getting rejection. That's just going to happen. You have to keep going.
Yeah. And have you guys sold any of your ideas where someone's giving you money to develop, or?
We have sold one idea, which I probably can't talk about too much, but
sure,
one of those things. But we have sold one idea, and what's nice is once you sell one, more things start happening. So my buddy has a whole bunch of scripts that he wrote solo, so we're kind of driving through that right now while I'm focused on the book. And then we've got plans to do a feature just with my independent production company this year. So that'll be probably a summer thing. That should be pretty fun.
So in terms of getting a story sold, give us an idea. You don't got to talk particulars about your thing, but just give us like a feel for what does it mean. So you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who gets you in front of someone, and then they listen either via email or at a pitch meeting, and they say, you know what, we like this idea, we want to work with you on that. What is that? I mean, that doesn't like, oh, I get to quit my job and go move to the hills. I mean, that means now the work is beginning, but there's a little bit of money. Is the money enough that you can just focus on that one idea, or is it like, no, but we want to incent you to keep going with this?
Not right away. That's something that, I mean, some people hit it out of the park. Some people write a feature-length movie. They sell it for $2 million, and then it's like, okay, I can quit my job and focus on writing full-time. But most people, you're going to sell a script for between $20,000 and $80,000 if it's a TV or a movie. So you have to be prepared to keep your day job, keep working in the off hours, and get something else to produce. Because every time you bring something to an agent, to an executive, to whomever, the first question out of their mouth is going to be, so what else you got? So you have to have a deep portfolio, a deep bench of stuff to be putting out in front of them.
What does that mean, though? What's a deep portfolio? Like when you say, so I don't have any portfolio, right? I've got some ideas in my head, and you were like, dude, you can't go pitch with that. When I come to you and say, I've got X, and this much is written of it, what is that equation, do you think?
I would say if you're calling yourself a screenwriter and you want to be writing television, you need to have, I'd say 2 to 3 good pilots, polished pilots done, ready to go. And by pilots, these are original ideas. They can't be speculative. Like you can't take a Star Trek episode and make a pilot out of it. You have to write something new, which is very hard, but that's the kind of career you're getting into, so you got to work at it. So if you can come into a meeting with 2 to 3 of those, you're definitely set up for success. Not guaranteed it's going to happen, but it definitely is a better
pitch
chance.
With confidence that you're not going to get laughed out of the room in terms of you were not ready at all.
Exactly. Now, one thing you did mention, I want to qualify. It's not just about who you know, because I know nobody, but
right.
I know people who know people who know people who know people who know people. It's a different kind of story. But even if you don't know anybody, there are a lot of different avenues to get into the industry these days. And one of the biggest ones is these fellowship groups that studios are putting out. The NBC, Writers on the Verge, the Fox Writing Workshops, the CBS Management Track. I mean, every studio has a different fellowship that you apply for just by sending in a script. And if they like it, they pay you to work for them for 2 months, 3 months. And at the end of it, you've networked, you've got job opportunities, and you don't have to have a single industry contact to get in. So if you want to break into the industry at that level, at the writing level, then the opportunities are there. You just have to have the work ethic.
Yeah, the thing I have also learned is that you can go to one of those fellowships and absolutely strike out there. I mean, you do the work because you have to do work, but they don't get you. But that doesn't mean that somebody else won't get the work that you created there.
Absolutely, and everybody talks to everybody. It is a small community, despite tens of thousands of people working in it.
Right, yeah. There's a lot of BYU TV is creating things. You can legitimately go pitch those guys, and who would have thought that? So there's a lot of people trying to gather audiences, and the audiences don't have to be epic anymore. You're not going to get 6 million people watching your sitcom every night, reliably for years and years. It's just because there's too many options. So there is a lot of need for story. And there's also a desire for, more than ever before, we have long, multi-decade serials going now, or at least 20-plus seasons, even if they're shorter seasons, like something like Survivor. Mm-hmm. That's going strong, and it's going to continue to go strong, and likely could live on, in another form, like on the internet, for indefinitely. It's such a good format.
I mean, not non-scripted television, reality TV, there's always going to be a market for it. Even if it's not on network television, there's internet channels, there's streaming networks. I mean, Netflix is buying reality shows. They bought, what was that, Ultimate Beastmaster, the Sylvester Stallone show, where it's basically just Ninja Warrior. I mean, it's a fun, goofy competition show, but there's a market for it, and it's doing really well, and it's going into its 3rd season. If you look at scripted television, there's I want to say last mark was 474 scripted TV shows on the air right now,
right,
across all the different platforms. So you got to figure each one of those has a writer's room that has about between 4 to 10 people.
Sure.
On the higher end, maybe you'd see a 14-person, 15-person room. That's considered a very big room. Now, do the math on that. You've got plenty of opportunity for people who want to get in. And even if all of that you still can't find your job, you can just go on YouTube, make your show on your own.
Yeah, right.
Get a couple friends, get a camera, make a show.
Yeah, you can definitely make your own thing. That's for sure. And that more than ever is emerging because you can literally go out and finance it yourself too.
Yeah, but do an Indiegogo campaign or a Kickstarter campaign. You raise, $100,000, and that's enough to put on 10 episodes of a YouTube show.
Right. Yeah.
Or finance a small independent film. I have a friend with the Producers Guild, and that's what he did for his first movie. He went and financed it himself using Indiegogo and a little bit of his own money. Ended up raising just a little under $150, which is very low budget for a movie, but you get the right people, you pay them scale, get a couple SAG waivers, and bam, you got a film on your hands. Now you've got something you can show around it, and that's writing your own ticket.
talk to me about, so what branch were you in the Army? Were you artillery, or what were you?
I was a 19 Alpha, so armor.
Armor. Okay, so you are a combat arms guy, and you're running. How the fuck do you become a writer in Hollywood?
So I was going to Boston University, which is a fantastic school for just anything you want to do. My brother had gone there and studied communication, and eventually he transitioned into film and television and became a graphics artist. I got interested in some of the work he was doing, so while I was at BU, I took a couple of communication classes just to see if that's something that interested me. Turns out it did. So while I was studying at BU, I also got the bug and I wanted to sign up for the military. So National Guard comes in and says, hey, we'll pay for your college. All you got to do is sign up. I'm like, well, hey, that's a good deal. It's a pretty expensive school. So I signed up with them, and while I'm training with an infantry unit in Cambridge, I also was studying communications, studying screenwriting, creative writing, film production, and everything else. And when I graduated, I realized, all right, I got the bug for the military. I'm sticking with it. I'm building my officer career now, and on the other side, I also got to build my writing career.
Huh.
I mean, for me, I've always been a bit of a storyteller. I like to just, it started with writing notes to my teachers from my parents, saying why I had missed a class or didn't do my homework. And it just, it kind of grew from there. I had a lot of teachers encouraging me to explore the crazy areas inside my head. And eventually people started paying me for some of the crap that came out.
My buddy Dave West, who we've mentioned a couple of times in the show, don't know if he's sat in yet, but he's a character, and one of the things that we do is we invent characters. We take like approximations of like the people we see here on Santa Monica Pier, and then we'll invent a character. So there's inappropriate hand placement guy. He didn't mean anything by it, but he's going to put his hand like softly on your lat. And you're like, whoa, no one puts their hand there, And then we'll play these characters to each other. So like, I'll nestle my hand on his inner thigh, and if I feel creeped out, then I'm in the right spot, and then it makes us giggle and laugh. That's just one of them. There's try my food insistently guy, where you're like slide your plate over, and you're like, huh. You just make a sound and a gesture, and you're like, that's okay. And you slide your plate closer, and then you get more and more like insistent. Try my food, and it's hilarious. It makes you laugh. So I get the creativity is all around you, if you allow it. So as a kid, you're making up these stories and all these things. That's cool. So you recognize that pretty early on. When did you realize I need to take this to the big leagues?
I graduated college. I'd gone through all of my training with the military. I'd been Fort Sill, Fort Knox. I'm now a qualified armor officer, which, by the way, that means absolutely freaking nothing, because I showed up at my first unit and realized, wow, they didn't teach me shit. I don't know how to do anything.
Yes.
I know how to fill out paperwork.
Yes.
So I get to my unit, and I'm training with them, and they're like, hey, we're actually going to be transitioning. We're going to be a striker unit now. I'm like, I really wanted to be a tank unit. And then I call up my brother, and I'm just talking to him, and he's like, hey, so what are you still doing in Boston? I'm like, it's where I figure my unit's at. I'll find something here. And he's like, no, man, you want to be a writer, you got to get out to California. There's nothing for you in Boston if that's the career that you want to set out for. And you just spent a shit ton of money in college putting this together. You should at least take the shot. So I contact the branch manager for Armor, and it's like, hey, do you have anything open in California? And he goes, you know what? They just contacted us. They need a tank officer to be a platoon leader in a tank unit. I'm like, well, hell, that sounds like a pretty good time. Why don't we do that? And they ended up transferring me out to Palmdale, California, with Charlie Company of the 185. And at the same time, my buddy was moving out here to be an NBC page. Just perfect timing for us.
So you guys moved in together and started your Hollywood venture.
The Hollywood career. It starts out just like any dream, with him working as a page, me working at a Best Buy. It's like any good story.
Yeah, well, that's where those stories. By the way, we're walking up a hill right now, so
it's a good part of the Rock March. Hey, you know what? This is PT for the day, Hua.
Yeah, Hua, Roger, 185, Hua, Delta Rock. Yeah, so a tank officer. Let me ask you about tanks for a minute.
Oh, hell yeah.
You've read my most recent posting about the modern combat soldier and what they need. What are your thoughts?
So I absolutely agree. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have in our contemporary operating environment, or CO for you acronym lovers, is that we're not really focusing on the cultural issue. The fact that what we are doing is creating a deep instability in a host nation, and then kind of ducking and running. And it's not the fault of the soldiers. It's not really the fault of the strategic commanders.
No.
It's that this is a new kind of war. I mean, you look back at 1940s, 1960s, 1970s.
Not that war, right?
It's a different style. We're not fighting people in uniform. There's no non-combat zones.
Yeah.
So you have to have a different strategy to win.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the biggest things, and I agree a lot with what you're writing, is creating stability by empowering the on-the-ground leaders from the host nation. That's absolutely true.
Have you ever seen a host nation leader's plan that a military unit was behind and not driving through?
Nope.
Never, right?
Not even once.
Yeah. Which is crazy when you think, like, we're going to build capacity. Well, what's their fucking plan? There's a thing for the listeners. There's a thing where every quarter you get together as a military unit in Afghanistan and you assess your strategic advancement. And you measure against, like, what are the hospitals like? What's rule of law like? Female empowerment, all these different initiatives. How are we doing? And every time, Adam, I go, there's no Afghans in this room. And they go, yeah, this meeting's classified. But these are our partners. You're assessing their shit.
It's their freaking country.
Yeah. And you're assessing them by saying, this doesn't exist and that's going to be okay. Check it, mark it a go. Like, that's not a go, it's a no-go. Be honest. There's no hospital here. Or the hospital you built isn't consumed. Like, why aren't there Afghans? And this is, again, is not to say anybody is bad. It's just this shit's hard, especially when nobody's trained to do this. Because I promise, if you go through NTC or JRTC, any of the TCs, the training centers, you're going to focus on platoon moving as a tank, attacking things, because that's what you have to do. You're going to fight other tanks. When was the last significant tank-on-tank battle where it wasn't just us coming up and fucking up the Iraqis?
Shit. Korea?
Yeah. Right? Where the end was in doubt. You guys could not train for 5 years, go take on nearly any tank battalion in the world, and still dominate. Maybe the Russians would give you a run for the money, but for right now, we're not fighting the Russians.
No, I mean, that's the thing, is I feel right now super confident in my tank gunnery, and it's been a few years since I've been on a tank. Like, I could hop in, command a crew, and well, nowadays I'd probably have to just qual after, a couple no-goes, but I used to be first time to go, get this shit done. But I don't think I was nearly as confident using a terp to communicate with a chief or a sheik or anything like that, because we didn't train that. Now, at Fort Knox, they did start bringing in some of that cultural training into our sticks lane. So we would go out with actual interpreters. They brought over Iraqi nationals and who had emigrated to the United States, and they would pay them to be actors in villages and make it more authentic, which really helped out. I mean, that's something that the Army needs to focus on, is what is it like in a host nation to be breaking up somebody's village, and how do you do that in a way that not only do you still accomplish your mission, stay safe, but you also win over that nation.
When you talk about going to NTC or whatever and taking your platoon out and qualifying, there's a task, condition, and standard.
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business, or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
There's a standard to get to train to get a first time go. A series of tasks. As much as we want to create this real-like environment, that same level of detail is not there, though, right? For interpreter operations.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the biggest frustrations for me when we were going through that training, because the very first person we talked to said, look, your interpreter may be working for you, maybe working for the other guys. You got to keep them on a short leash. If you don't like what they're saying, you got to get rid of them. And the next person I talked to was like, no, they're like your brother. You got to take care of them. You got to look out for them. And there was so much of this back. They hadn't had any time to really develop the TTPs for what was the relationship supposed to be like with your interpreter. How were you supposed to treat them? How were you supposed to protect them? Right. And nowadays, yes, we look back on it and we're like, Of course, you've got to protect them. They're putting their lives at risk. They're putting their families at risk by helping out the coalition forces.
Right.
Why did it take us so long to disseminate that information? Why is there no task condition and stand?
Right.
Why is there no table leading up to that kind of a training?
When I went through counterinsurgency training, one of the many times, it was constantly different. And I was like, wow, this is really confusing as I was trying to learn. And then I learned it by doing it. And I learned a couple things. One thing is it's not important that we win the hearts and minds. It's that the government and the local people that we're trying to empower, that they win the hearts and minds. It really doesn't matter if anybody likes the Americans or not. What matters is that someone says rule of law is important to us in this village, and you convince them. The other thing was funny was there's this old SF Green Beret guy, and he was showing us this video of this Army NCO who was dressing down this group of Iraqi military people, just absolutely blasting them and being what appears to be inappropriate in a video. And he's like, this is an example of bad partnering, like don't do this. And I raised my hand, I'm like, I actually know this unit. I know several of the Iraqis in that formation, and you have no idea the context of that conversation. It's actually not an example of bad partnering. At least you can't say that. And the guy's like, oh, dude. I'm like, all right, let me tell you exactly why he got mad at them, because I was the unit after them, and I learned that whole story just by luck. And then everybody in the class was looking at me like, holy shit, what the fuck are we getting into? Like, the guy teaching us is clearly knowledgeable, but completely wrong. Here's some guy, because I didn't go through training with these guys. I kind of got attached to them at the very end, because I had already done the work, and I was redeploying with a new team. And it was like, wait, hold on. All that's bullshit? Like, all that's bullshit. These guys were needed, every now and then in the Army. Do you have to get dressed down because you're not doing your job? Yes. That's what's happening here. Here's why it happened. Here's how it happened. And here's what happened afterwards. And it's illustrative of the challenges that we have in training. Again, it's not because that old dude was wrong or sucks or anything or wants to suck. It's just that it's hard and we haven't trained on the core tasks. It's especially for a tanker, your job is to keep your platoon alive. So
and that's the thing about the old motto of the cavalry is death before dismount. But nowadays, most tankers are deploying to nations, then they're not going to get a tank. My company, right before I joined them, was just getting back from deployment to Iraq, and that deployment, they didn't get tanks. They got soft-skin Humvees.
Yeah. I totally forgotten about death before dismount. It's totally true, because here's what actually happens when you deploy. You get in vehicles that aren't tanks. Maybe you roll around in Strikers. Strikers are like an 8-wheeled tank. It's a big, huge, scary vehicle.
It's like a minivan that likes rolling over and does not like getting off of hardball roads.
Yeah. It's a interesting platform. You're going to not ride in those, or you're going to ride in MRAPs, and everybody's going to get this. They're going to dismount.
You're going to dismount. You're going to do patrols.
Yeah.
You're going to do mid operations. You're going to do knock-in searches. I mean, you learn it as you go. And I mean, everybody learns how to clear a room as you're going through basic or AIT or wherever you're going. But it's very different from what you're really training to do as a soldier day to day. So even if you do learn a little bit about terp operations during AIT, you're not going to be learning that with your unit. You're going to be learning how to kick down doors and shoot people. I mean, that's what you train for if you're infantry, or you're going to learn how to do gunnery tables if you're a tanker, or you're going to learn how to do, artillery ops or mortar ops, whatever it is your MOS may be. You're not going to be learning the shit that you're actually going to be doing in country. We practice some convoy operations, but I wouldn't say that I was feeling too confident with them. I'd figure it out when I got there. And the best thing that I had going for me is this 72-ton, rolling FU that I was carrying along.
Yeah, which actually makes your actual job harder, because now you're in town with your 70-ton FU, and then you got to get out and be like, I'm your bro. And they're like, you are? So partnering is really, really hard.
I think that's something, Colonel Grossman on Combat, on Killing.
Sure.
He made a great point about the use of large caliber weapons, small arms versus field artillery, tanks, everything else. And the whole idea, it's not just about force multipliers in your combat ability. It's just about the psychological effect. There is something psychologically demeaning about a tank rolling into your town.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. If you've never been around a tank, first of all, it's rolling a 1,500 horsepower turbine engine. It's louder than a jet airplane. and it looks like it's meant to kill you because it's meant to kill you.
It'll drive over your house,
Like
especially if it's made out of dirt.
We will break things without trying. We will knock over your house because we parked too close. Like, these things are not meant to make friends. So
That's right.
yeah, that's something you got to be aware of if you are leading that company in or leading that battalion in.
Can I buy you a beer over here?
Damn right you can.
Okay. And then, I don't know if you know this, if I told you this story, but I almost got killed by a tank. I actually got hit in a head-on accident by a tank.
Oof.
We were on BIOP, which is the Baghdad International Airport for the listeners. There's a ring that goes around the whole thing. It's late at night. We're driving out to part of the airport to fly out the next day. Like, this is our last ride on the main Baghdad camp. And we're driving along, and we see a car coming towards us. It's clearly a tank, because you tell by the headlight, and it's way off in the distance. And one headlight's out, so we're like, turns out the headlight that was out was the driver's side, not the passenger side, like we thought. So the tank was taking up, and this is on a hunk of desert, so there's blacktop and there's desert. That's really hard. So that tank had all the room in the world to scooch over and did not budge an inch, and we are in a minivan. And so way more dangerous for us to get off of the hard top road. So we weren't trying to play chicken, but they just kept going. They kept going straight, hit us, hit the Humvee behind us, ejected a dude out, seatbelt attached to the chair as he shot out, blew out his shoulder and everything else. That tank never stopped. And those are my friends, you know, like.
Yeah, that's Blue 4 right there.
yeah. It's so that's what a tank really is in reality. And I don't know why those guys didn't stop. I imagine that once they realized they hit a bunch of civilians, they probably went, "Oh fuck, let's just keep going," because who's ever going to know?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If they saw that they hit a minivan, they may have just assumed, in country. Oh
this
shit!
is on American-controlled things. Anybody they hit was an American, you know. And
well, then they were just being assholes.
And then they hit a Humvee.
Like, I have hit
on.
shit in a tank and not known.
Yeah, that is easy. This was a head-on collision with a van followed by a Humvee, and sent both vehicles careening off the road. Total both vehicles. I don't know how I'm alive still. The thing with tanks is you can go to NTC, National Training Center, train up for that mission, like we said, get ready to go, and literally never set foot in a tank, other than to maybe maintain it if you're assigned some tanks. You may not even go to where tanks are at. But the job you do every day, you don't train for, and that's kind of the big point of that. I'm going to close that chapter, and let's talk about what's next for you. You've got a story sold. That's not the end. You're writing your novel now. Talk to me about what's coming up next.
So coming up next, this year I'm going to be competing in the Los Angeles 48-hour film contest. I'm currently competing in the New York NYC Midnights puts on different screenwriting and short story writing contests. So I'm competing with them this month. And we're going to be filming a feature in summer with Go Go Guppy Productions and hopefully a couple other local production companies. And I'm working on books 3 and 4 in the series.
Damn. Wow.
And I'm also, if you guys have met some of the other guests on the podcast, I'm in a program called the Writers Guild Foundation Veterans Writing Project. And this next couple months is going to be meeting up with mentors in the industry and learning a little bit about how to break in. It's actually a really great resource. There's a lot of veterans who work in the industry, and they offer free programs, free mentorship, so that guys like me have a chance of getting in.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know Mark Valley is involved with some veteran writer groups, and maybe that one. And obviously he's a co-host on the show, and he actually is in the middle of getting an MFA, and he's writing a novel as part of his MFA project. So way to go, Mark. And also Hilliard Guest. He's a friend of the show, has his own podcast writing show, and it's called the Screenwriters Rant Room. He also gives a lot of his time back to veterans in an effort to help them tell their stories. But one of the things I love about this is we get to talk to guys like you who absolutely deserve mic time because you're fascinating, but also guys like us, we get to go out and tell our story right now. It's not 40 years from now. It's not 50 years from now. It's like, this is really what's going on. This is what it's like to fight these things. You know, this is the guy that got shot. This is the guy who lost everything when he came, you know, all these different stories of this is the cost of combat, and we're glad to go. But understand that when we come back, my network is filled with warlords and you know, criminals and murderers. And you guys are like, go get a job, work your network. Like, well, my network is a bunch of evil people. That's who I had to get to go know. So should I go meet more evil people, or how about
It's like I could start up an opioid thing out here. I got the contacts now,
I got
but
the suppliers. Yeah. Oh, I want to say this to you too. I saw a story the other day, and I love to do this mostly because I'm a dick. But let's make this left here. There was they showed a picture of an A10 going and tearing up poppy fields. And they're like, yeah, cool, Bert, because that's the sound the thing makes, and everybody loves it. And I love A10s too. But I'm like, yeah, that's a waste of time. You know, all you're doing is, like, you're actually creating more instability by doing that. Why,
yeah.
You know, why doesn't the government program instill to incent not growing poppy? Why doesn't that work? And I get a bunch of things like, well, they don't like it. They're not a nation of people that follow a government. Like, well, then there's your problem set, not poppy. You know, but
yeah, you're going to take that field away, and then the guy down the road now has a better markup on his product.
Yeah, you just made the Taliban more money.
So and we're the freaking buyers of this thing. I mean, that's the problem is so multifaceted. It's kind of hard to just offer a quick solution. But I love an A10. I love seeing, but
fuck yeah.
You're not solving a problem with a bullet. Not in this instance.
Not in this instance.
I mean, I think people get kind of a misconception because of action movies, television shows.
Sure.
Just because that's not really how the problems get solved. Yeah, the Army goes in and the Army does cool shit. Marines kick down doors. Air Force is bombing shit and playing chess. I don't know what they do. And then the Navy is firing rockets offshore. But at the end of the day, the solution has to come from in-country. You can't build up the country just with bombs. You got to build it up with the leaders there who work with coalition forces to make something happen.
That was perfect. Let's go to this bar.
Fantastic.